Hi Ferment family, I hope you're keeping well. I hope you and yours are safe and happy and, well, as we can be, and more to the point, healthy. I'm here today to not actually talk about beer per se. I'm actually here to talk to you about food and some of the things that we can be doing whilst we're in lockdown. I'm obviously accompanied by a beer, however. I'm finding lower ABV beers my friend in this situation. I've got the Gads number 11, which is only a 1.2%, when I can say it's absolutely banging, so cheers. But food. There's a few things that I've noticed whilst in this situation, and obviously whilst also using some of the smaller beers to stop me drinking too much. What I'm doing as well is I'm obviously going through some of my stash. Now, not every beer ages as well as we would like it to. So one of the things I'm going to really recommend to you is that you don't pour it down the drain. If you've got a really seriously oxidized beer, then one of the things you can do is obviously use it for cooking. Now, one of the bonuses about that is that you don't really mind what you do with it, because you're going to put it in for quite a long time. So this is the kind of moment where you actually just find a freezer bag, or you just find a tub and you stick beers in it. You can stick multiple beers into a pot if they're roughly in the same family. So if you've got some vintage ales which haven't quite stood up to the test of time, if you've got some beers that aren't highly hopped, or some old ales and they're not just tasting great, stick them all into a pot until you've got enough ready. Or, if you fall asleep, a little bit tired, a little bit emotional, and you wake up the next day and you've still got some in a glass, or you've still got some in a bottle, stick that in the pot as well. Then you'll have some wonderful flavouring for a stew at a later date. So those beers are great for long, slow cooks. Another thing that I would really like to appeal to you as something that you could take on as an actual discipline going forward is, if you are peeling carrots, if you are taking strings off celery, if you are chopping ends off bulbs of garlic or onions, or even onion skins and things like that, start putting those in a pot in your freezer, because then what you can do is next time you roast a chicken, or if you just want simple veg stock, then what you can do is you can get that out of the freezer and you can make stock. One of the other things that I also really stand by as well is your full fresh drinking highly hopped beers. Save them for drinking. They're really not the best thing to cook with. You can use them at the very end of dishes if you want a slightly citrus and slight bitter balance, if something's a little over sweet, for example. But in the main, you're mostly better off with anything that's quite bitter and fresh hopped. Just drink it. That's what it's there for. Final note is, obviously we've just had Easter weekend. If you have actually not the final note, come to think of it, I haven't mentioned cheese. What is lockdown doing to me? So, penultimate note, obviously we've just come out of the end of Easter. Chocolate, beer, perfect pairings. A lot of it will probably be milk chocolate, because that tends to be the strongest amount of sales that you get around Easter. So milk chocolate, you can choose more bitter stouts with that. So things like imperial stouts as well, you can go that high and that big, because that big boozy hit and that big bitter roast hit, and obviously quite often an actual hop hit as well, you can carry that off with milk chocolate, because you don't want to match that with dark chocolate, in my opinion, unless your bitter taste buds are your favourite part of your palate. You will end up with far too much bitterness at the back. So more bitter beers, generally from the roast, higher alcohols, lovely with milk chocolate. If you're using dark chocolate, then I would definitely go down the mixed firm or sour fruited route. That's generally your best shout. But you can always go with milk stouts and also milkshake stouts as well. So those big sweet sort of confectionery and pastry stouts as well. They're really good with that balance of bitterness. So when some of us old miserable buggers complain about everything being too sweet, that's actually one of the really good ways to offset that. So if you've got it in a mixed pack that you weren't expecting, and it's not really your favourite style, and you've kind of been looking at it a little bit, what do I do with this in the cupboard? Grab yourself some dark chocolate and get involved with that. And moving on, I had a surprising match the other day where I had a honking blue cheese with some pastry stout, and my word, it actually really worked. And it doesn't make sense actually. If you think about some of those sort of chocolatey flavours, they very much often go with blue cheese because they offset some of that saltiness. And also you can get some fruit involved, and obviously we naturally eat fruit with cheese, so that really makes sense as well. And coming back to cheese, got a bit of an end of a big impy, finished for the night, think you're not gonna drink that, or big barley wine or big old ale. Again, save that, bake a soft cheese in it, something like camembert and Eposse, something like that. Then that come in the wooden boxes, soak your wooden box, get a foil lining or a greaseproof paper lining, get your cheese out, poke holes in it, rub it with garlic, best really with roast garlic in my opinion, because it doesn't quite get a long enough time to do that. Or take a look at the recipe in the Beer Kitchen, which is frankly filth, for a baked cheese. And then, and everybody really wants it, then I will post it online for you as well. Just contact me either on Twitter at Melissa Cole or Instagram or Facebook at Melissa Cole Beer, and bake that cheese for about 20 minutes. Get yourself some celery and some carrots and some bread, maybe some roasted new potatoes, maybe some asparagus because asparagus season is here, yay! And get involved with that way. But most importantly, also make sure that you're finding time to get online, drink with your friends. Beer is the world's most sociable drink after all. Get online, get to your virtual pubs, have quizzes, catch up with your mate that you always catch up with, and really enjoy. So that's the most important things that I think happen around beer and food and all those sorts of things. So as I said, get involved with your mates, make sure that you see each other, don't isolate, reach out if you are having mental health problems, take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Cheers.